Just how fast can you build muscle, anyways? Believe me, I get it. You want to build muscle, and you want to build muscle like yesterday. The question is, if you work out consistently and eat to fuel your gains, just how fast can you build muscle within a certain time frame? How much can you build in a month? 3 months? 6 months? How much muscle can you build in a year? Naturally, this is a question you would want to know the answer to. If you invest your time and energy into working out hard and eating in a way that's conducive of building muscle, then of course you'd want to know how fast you can get results. Alas, like you might expect, the answer is far from black and white. That being so, while showing you footage from my latest full body gym workout, I'm going to share with you how I would answer the question, how fast can you build muscle? Before we get started, if you find this video to be helpful, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Okay, let's dive in. I wish there was a specific number I could give you. Like, you can build 5 pounds of muscle in a month. Or you can build 20 pounds of muscle in a year. But it doesn't work that way. Imagine asking yourself a different question. How fast can you get good at playing the piano? How would you answer that? Well, I would say it really depends on the person, and it depends on the context. If you take someone who is naturally talented or gifted at the instrument, who has a private teacher, and who practices consistently and efficiently, they probably have the capacity to get really, really good at the piano quite quickly. If you take another person who doesn't have much natural talent on the instrument, who doesn't have a private music teacher, and who doesn't practice very efficiently or consistently, then it's going to take them a lot longer to get good at the piano, if they ever get good at all, that is. And if you take someone that falls in the middle of those two extremes, then they'll probably get good at a rate that falls somewhere in between. For all three of those individuals, the different variables mentioned, their level of talent, if they have a great teacher or not, and if they practice consistently and efficiently, all play a big part in determining their rate of progress in regard to getting good at the piano. So the answer to the question, how fast can you get good at playing the piano, largely depends on those variables. And even so, the answer won't be specific. As I noted, the answer would probably be something like you'd get good fast, slow, or somewhere in between, rather than in 1 year, 20 years, or 10 years, some kind of concrete number like that. Okay, now let's get back to talking about muscle growth. The question, how fast can you build muscle, is very similar to the question, how fast can you get good at playing the piano? The answer to both questions depends on a series of variables that differ per each individual. The variables that ought to be considered when talking about rate of muscle growth are genetics, training experience, training frequency, training skill level, recovery capacity, diet, sleep, natural proclivity, or if you enjoy lifting weights or not, and so on. Taking any of those variables in isolation and comparing them would lead to more straightforward answers. For example, someone with better genetics overall would build muscle faster than someone with poor genetics overall. Or someone who eats a diet that's conducive of building muscle, they might build muscle faster than someone who doesn't eat a diet like that. But those variables ought not to be taken into isolation. Everyone consists of all of them, and all of those variables interact with each other and play a role in determining just how fast you can build muscle. For example, you could have someone with great genetics and that lifts consistently, but who gets poor sleep and eats a poor diet, who builds muscle at a decent rate, largely because of their great genetics. And you could have another person with inferior genetics who trains consistently but eats a great diet and gets lots of sleep, who actually builds muscle faster than the person with superior genetics. although there are people who say you can build X amount of muscle in X amount of time, I really don't see how that can universally be true. Each individual consists of so many of these different confounding variables, so each individual's potential speed for building muscle will be different. So truly, the question, how fast can you build muscle, is not really answerable outside of something like, the more of those variables that are in alignment with muscle growth that you consist of, the faster you'll build muscle. The fewer of those variables that are in alignment with muscle growth that you consist of, the slower you'll build muscle. Now, I know that might not be the answer you were hoping for. And again, I get it. If you're going to spend your time and energy lifting weights and eating in alignment with muscle growth, it sure would be nice to know the concrete rate in which you can get results. There is a slightly different question, however, that I think is far more worth asking yourself in this context. Instead of asking, how fast can I build muscle? It's, what can I do that's within my control to build muscle as fast as possible? Now, if you ask that, find the answer or answers, and then implement them, then you'll end up building muscle as fast as you possibly can, regardless of knowing or not knowing ahead of time what the exact rate of your results will be. Notice that I said what you can do that's within your control. That's because you can't control things like your genetics or your family responsibilities, so naturally those kinds of variables and variables like them aren't worth worrying about. I'm talking about putting in intentional effort into things like your training consistency, diet, sleep routine, and so on. Those kinds of variables. The variables that you have control over putting meaningful effort into improving or optimizing. Focus on those things. Get as good at them as you can, or within what's reasonable within your life and life context, and you'll build muscle simply as fast as you possibly can for yourself. No, you still won't know exactly how fast your muscle growth progress will come, but you could consider that number to be irrelevant anyways, since you'll be building muscle as fast as possible, regardless of whatever it might be. And there you have it. There isn't really any true, honest, or predictable answer that universally applies to everyone when asking the question, how fast can you build muscle? There are just too many confounding variables that vary from person to person that will lead to potentially a different answer for each person. Aiming to answer the slightly different question of, what can I do that's within my control to build muscle as fast as possible, is a much more productive question to ask, in my opinion. Since upon finding the answer to that question and implementing it, you'll build muscle as fast as feasibly possible for yourself, regardless of not knowing 100% how fast you can actually build muscle ahead of time. In short, it's what will lead you to building muscle as fast as you possibly can for yourself. At this point, I'd love to know your feedback. Let me know your thoughts, insights, and questions in the comment section below. Before this video comes to a close, I want to quickly let you know about the work that I do. When I'm not making YouTube videos or Instagram content, I work full-time as an online physique coach, where I help my clients to accomplish their muscle growth and fat loss goals by optimizing their approach to strength training and nutrition, and I coach them through the process. I've been doing this work for over 7 years and love helping my clients to not only transform their bodies, but ultimately their lives. If you've been considering getting some help with accomplishing your own physique goals, feel free to hit the link in the description below, where you can learn a little bit more about the work that I do and how I can help you. You can even use that link to schedule a free video consultation with me. If you have any questions about my coaching or how I can help you, just email me at sam@jadeathletics.ca. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.